So that's what the AES represents to me. It's not just the infrastructure that is being built or the systems that they're putting in place. It's the potential for wider political revolution that they are creating by just existing.
Let's speak about him briefly. What do you think about AES, him, Goïta and Tchiani forming their own, alliance, economically, politically, socially? And what do you think about Traoré as a leader and as an inspiration to Africa?
First of all, I'll say that it's not Traoré. It's the three countries.
Oh, yes.
Because I've noticed that because Burkina Faso, I guess, is the most media savvy of the three countries.
Yeah.
And its transformation is the most visually eye-catching. So people often reduce what's happening in the AES to Burkina Faso or Ibrahim Traoré. That's I think missing the mark, entirely. Nothing that is happening in Burkina Faso would have been possible without the AES. The AES is the real story here, because what that has done is basically what the OAU, the original African Union, was supposed to do.
Yes.
That's what organizations like ECOWAS were supposed to do. Just basic integration, for example. There are no roaming charges across the AES.
Wow.
Right. That sounds simple enough, but even here in the EAC, there are roaming charges. I was in Dar es Salaam a couple of days ago, and I flew into Nairobi. My SIM didn't work. Why should Kenya and Tanzania have completely different financial systems and currencies, completely different mobile
networks
that don't interconnect, properly? Everything is so siloed away from each other. That's what the AES is revolutionizing. They are showing that all these divisions that somebody has convinced us need to be there, that those things, they're myths. There's no reason why a group of African countries cannot come together and create shared infrastructure. There's no reason why they cannot properly streamline free movement, for example. So in ECOWAS or in the EAC, they'll claim to have free movement. I think you and I know that's not true. You might have free movement in the EAC, but I've seen it happen a number of times to a lot of people that I know, EAC citizens. If you, for example, you're trying to fly from Nairobi with a Ugandan passport, they might tell you to go back to Uganda and fly from there instead. That's a thing that happens. They're both EAC members, but they've not sorted out their free movement yet. In ECOWAS, which claims to have free movement, if you take your Nigerian passport to Cote d'Ivoire or Gambia, you might have serious problems there.
But AES have actualized it.
They might even deport you. But it's a free movement area. ECOWAS, which claims to be a customs union, blah, blah, blah. They were eventually supposed to become a monetary union. This was said in 1975 when they were formed. As of 2026, there's no sign of the monetary union, and each of them has tariffs against each other.
So there's beef inside ECOWAS.
Of course. And then here comes the AES, and you're seeing for the first time that all of this is nonsense and doesn't need to exist. Because they're actually doing it. They're not talking about it, they're doing it. It's real, it's happening. So the idea, for example, of linking the three AES capitals by rail, which is such a radical departure from the sort of colonial rail infrastructure that typically exists across Africa, whose only purpose is to ship extracted stuff from inland to the port.
Yes.
Right. Instead, you are saying, let's connect three major African population centers so people can trade within them. There's no ports there. There's no exports. It's just people trading. Right. And they're showing that it's possible because they're doing it. Something I found very interesting, I think this was at the start of January or end of December, there was an announcement that was made that in Burkina Faso, they're going to be constructing the country's first proper highway. Like, the way you have the Thika superhighway here, they do 60 plus years of independence, they don't have an expressway in Burkina Faso. And they're building their first expressway between the two major cities. Ouagadougou and Bobo Dioulasso. It's about 320 kilometers. And it's going to be 4 lanes each way. 4 lanes going, 4 lanes coming, right?
Okay.
And in about 21 days since the announcement was made, they've already cleared 70% of the
project.
entire right of way.
Wow.
Like, this is before the earthwork starts and everything. But I'm saying, like, this was just grassland and bush and vegetation. Now, the actual right of way has actually been cleared. 70% of it in 20 days. That normally would take at least a year. At least a year. And then the actual road building project could take another 10, 15, 20 years easily. Well, what you're going to find out is that within 18 months, they're going to complete this project.
Wow.
So what that is going to do, and why I'm very excited about the AES, is that in the next 5 to 6 years, we won't be talking about its potential anymore. People are going to be moving there. People are going to be voting with their feet because people are going to be seeing a better life.
Yes.
Like in practice, people in West Africa, I mean, maybe it's a bit far from East Africa, but people are going to be voting with their feet. It's going to be unignorable. And from a political perspective, the countries that are still hostile toward the AES will have to either explain to their citizens why these guys can have nice things while we can't, or the entire governance system is going to unravel. So the likes of Cote d'Ivoire and Nigeria, which are like the 2 major offenders, by the time, say, Niger, which has been Nigeria's poor cousin since forever, by the time Nigerians, there's a stereotype in Nigeria that if you see someone from Niger, it's probably a beggar, he's there to beg, right?
It'll change now.
By the time that perception starts to change, because Nigerians start having nice things, and the Nigerians start to migrate to Niger, there's going to be a big problem. And that's what I want to see. By the time Ivorians, because Burkina Faso has always been the poor cousin of Cote d'Ivoire since forever. By the time Ivorians start having a lower quality of life than Burkinabes, there's going to be a problem. So that's what the AES represents to me. It's not just the infrastructure that is being built or the systems that they're putting in place. It's the potential for wider political revolution that they are creating by just existing.
Okay.
Because when they started out, the general reaction to them was, who cares? This isn't going to last long. You people are a bunch of poor people. What can you do? You don't even have access to the sea, But in the space of 3 years, the things that they said couldn't be done are being done. The regional financial integration, it's happening.
It's happening.
The telecoms integration has happened. It has already happened. The investment in healthcare and transport infrastructure is happening. We're seeing it with our 2 eyes. The
tomato processing plants.
Then that's, people often focus on tomato processing plants and all this. Like, there are much more fundamental things being done, even in Burkina Faso. So, for example, the fact that is now, I believe, the first country in West Africa to be data sovereign. It has the ability to manage and store all of its own citizens' data in country.
In their servers.
Wow. They now have that capacity. Because the rest of us, even here in Kenya, we're all living on US infrastructure.
Yeah. AWS, Google, whatever.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're all living on US infrastructure. My website is, I call it my website, but it's really Jeff Bezos' website.
Yeah. AWS.
Because the day he decides, for whatever reason, it's gone.
I never knew. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
So, that is what the AES represents to me. It represents sovereignty in a way that people can finally understand why it's important. And sovereignty is not just rhetoric from the mouth of Thomas Sankara or something, because that's another weapon that has been used against the development of the right kind of consciousness within African populations, is that it's often presented as though, these are old ideas, outdated ideas, and these things didn't work, and there's a bunch of people who like to wear their red berets and talk about imperialism. Like, there's a way of making it sound so ridiculous.
So archaic. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
And it worked on me.
Yeah.
So I know it works. You know, but what these guys are doing is completely changing the face of that. They're changing the narrative. That's what I'm excited about. Like, what if you haven't done what the AES have done, you haven't done anything, in my opinion. The AES, they have picked a side. They have been very explicit about it. They have Russian air defense systems in their country. They have Russian military advisors. They have assistance from Russian intelligence. Again, none of this is because, you know, Russia is sugar daddy that's coming to save anybody. Russia has their own interests. We all know that. We're not babies here. But the point is, you are using, if you like, one great power to fight off another, because that's the only chance you have to become a middle power. Right? Because right now you are not a power at all. You are grass that is at the mercy of everybody else.
But,
so,
you know, if I were to craft that plan, I would say, fine, I get why you're going to Russia, but is there a plan that we can formulate as an African?
Of course
people?
there is. And of course that will be the long term.
Yeah,
that is the ultimate long term plan. Nothing can replace that. Because even in the AES, and I think I said this on another platform a few weeks ago, that Russia is willing to give the assistance it's giving in the AES now because it has its interests. The conflict in Sahel is directly linked to the conflict in Ukraine.
Okay.
That's why Russia is so invested in what happens in the Sahel. From Russia's point of view, continued European access to cheap African minerals is a problem for Russia. Because number one, that's starving Russia of revenue, because instead of Russia being the resource base of Europe, they're getting cheap resources from Africa. Number one. Number two, those resources which are generally used in military applications, who are those, when Europe finally uses those African resources to rearm itself, who is it going to use those arms on? It's Russia. So from a Russian point of view, the way to preserve peace and to preserve its market in Europe is to make sure that Europe is not allowed to have access to cheap African resources. And the way to make sure Africa is not allowed to have to make sure that Europe doesn't have access to cheap African resources is to equip Africa to be able to defend itself from Europe and to be able to use its own resources. That's when they're signing parts, for example, to build nuclear reactors in the AES, so that these guys no longer have to sell uranium. They can use it for themselves.
That's it.
It's war. That's literally a war strategy.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what this whole thing is about. And I feel like too many people don't understand that.